All right, let's talk about a year that quietly changed everything in football, 2025. It wasn't really defined by one big, shiny trophy. It was about something much deeper, something that set the stage for the game we all watch today. So let's get into it.
So, think about it. What if the most important year in modern football didn't actually have one single defining moment? Usually we remember a year for a specific World Cup final, right? Or some dramatic last-minute league winner. But 2025, its impact was, well, it was different. It was a quieter, more fundamental shift in the game's whole direction. Exactly. See, 2025 wasn't some kind of sudden revolution. It was a confirmation. It was the year when all those little trends we'd been seeing in tactics, in the business of the game, in the kind of players being developed, they all just kind of clicked into place. This was the new normal. The future of football, it had officially arrived.
Okay, so first up, the modern game plan. We're talking smarter players and faster tactics. Let's start where it always matters most, right? On the pitch. How exactly did the game itself change? Well, it all started with a whole new type of player.
And you can really see the shift here. Look at this comparison. We were moving away from an era that was all about a few individual superstars, one or two geniuses who could win a game all on their own. By 2025, that was fading. It became about the collective. Teams weren't just hunting for a specialist anymore. Tactical intelligence was the new currency. They were building squads around these incredibly versatile leaders who could influence the game from anywhere. And the wild part? A lot of them were barely in their early 20s.
Yeah, and this slide really lays out the new blueprint for what a top player looked like. Leadership was now expected from guys in their early 20s. Tactical smarts became more valuable than just raw physical talent. And versatility, that was non-negotiable. You even had goalkeepers who were basically deep-lying playmakers, starting the entire attack. It just wasn't enough to be good at one thing anymore. You had to be the complete package.
So, what did all these new players make possible? Well, this right here, positionless football. It's a tactical philosophy where player roles are totally fluid. Forget rigid formations like the old 4-4-2. We're talking about teams that defend and attack in completely different shapes. You might see them defending in a super compact 5-4-1, but the second they win possession, boom, they morph into a 3-2-5 to go forward. It's that constant, smart movement that made these teams an absolute nightmare to play against.
So how did managers actually pull this off? It really boiled down to a three-step approach. First, preparation was all driven by data. That was just a given. Second, you had to be flexible during the game itself, ready to change things on the fly. And third, and this became huge, was managing player load. With so many games packed into the schedule, using data to rotate your squad and keep everyone fresh was just as important as any tactical plan.
All right, let's zoom out a bit. Because all the stuff happening on the pitch, it was mirrored by some massive shifts in the business and the global structure of football. This next part is all about the global pitch, a world of contrasts.
Hey man, in 2025, the financial gap was just massive. You can see it right here. The Premier League was in a league of its own, financially speaking. They had this incredible dominance, and that forced everyone else to get creative, to lean into their own identity. Other top European leagues had to focus on what made them special, like youth development. Take La Liga, for example. They had to double down on what they've always done best, producing unbelievable technical talent from their academies. It was about survival, for sure, but also about pride.
But probably the single biggest shakeup of the year was this. As the quote says, the expanded FIFA Club World Cup marked a radical shift in global club competition, and that's no exaggeration. This thing wasn't just another tournament on the calendar. Oh no, it completely changed the game, both literally and figuratively.
So what was the actual effect? Well, for the first time, you had this huge global stage for clubs from outside of Europe. And guess what? They showed up. Big time. We saw incredible tactical sophistication coming out of Africa and South America. It was an amazing showcase for talent from all over the world. But it also threw a giant spotlight on a huge problem: player fatigue. The schedule just got absolutely brutal.
Okay, but the story of 2025 wasn't just about the men's club game. We need to look beyond the 90 minutes because the entire football world was changing in some really important ways.
And honestly, one of the absolute biggest stories of the year was the unstoppable rise of women's football. 2025 saw record highs for broadcast deals, for sponsorships, just a massive record-breaking wave of investment. And it was all because more people around the world were watching than ever before. And here's the key takeaway from that. The growth was confirmed. In 2025, women's football wasn't a growing sport anymore. It was just football. It cemented its place as a permanent pillar of the global game. Commercially powerful, culturally essential, with its own huge stars and a massive, passionate fan base.
And what about us, the fans? Well, in 2025, the fan experience really felt like it existed in two different stadiums at once. You had the digital stadium, social media, 24/7 debates, where narratives could be built and destroyed in an instant. But then you had the physical stadium, the actual matchday experience, the atmosphere, the activism. That stuff remained sacred. It was still the place you felt that core emotional connection, the real soul of the game.
All right, let's bring it all home. After looking at the tactics, the business, the culture, what's the final whistle on 2025? What's its true legacy?
Basically, this is it. This is the new normal that 2025 locked in. Football is faster, smarter, and way more global than it's ever been. We learned that tactical intelligence is what separates the good from the great, that youth development is the absolute lifeblood of the sport, and that through it all, that emotional core, that connection between fans and their club is still the game's greatest strength.
But it wasn't all perfect. This new era brought a whole new set of challenges with it. All that growth created some serious pressure. The big debates of 2025 were all about this stuff. The fixture list was absolutely packed. Player welfare became a central, urgent issue. And everyone was asking, how do we balance all this growth with actual sustainability?
And so that leaves us with this final, really important question to think about. The game is faster, it's smarter, it's more global than ever, no doubt about it. But what's the cost? As football keeps getting bigger and faster, what's the real price of all that progress? It's something we're all still grappling with today.